You join me on the beach at North Berwick where the Golf Monthly team is staying this week. It's the second day of the Open Championship. We're heading on down to the course shortly, but we just thought we'd give you a little quick wrap up of the first day before we do so. It was an interesting day, wasn't it? The course was playing quite difficult. The wind was maybe a club to a club and a half at times, not ferociously strong, but just enough to make those firm fairways and fast greens not a great combination with the knee-high rough in places. Some players, of course, survived. Some players did less well. Among them, some of the big and more fancied names, McIlroy, McDowell, Rose, Els, all failed to deliver. And many of those would have been among the pre-tournament favourites, maybe not McIlroy, particularly this year. And then there's always a few old-timers that do well, isn't there, in the Open? This year, Mark O'Meara and Tom Lehman both riding high, former winners, of course. And there seems to be something about links golf that allows the older player still to be relevant. Obviously, Tom Watson's heroics over the last few years have really emphasised that. But there always seems to be some senior player that gets right up there, certainly early on in the tournament. I know Mark O'Meara is falling back a bit again today, but Lehman was still hanging around. Now the other players, Zach Johnson, he did well last year at Royal Lytham. He played with Ernie Els on the last day, didn't do so well on the last day, but he's renowned for having one of the best putting strokes on tour, and there was a lot of talk about putting yesterday. Some of the players less than impressed with a couple of the pin positions. They were put firmly back in their box by Podrick Harrington last night, who told them to stop moaning, basically. He went on to say he'd had 37 putts and he thought he'd putted well. So the greens, as they get crisper and firmer, are going to become more and more tricky, and the priority really will be keeping your ball below the hole. Others to do well. Stenson is going well again this morning. A lot of people think that now he's got his game back together and is playing very consistently, he could contend this week. And of course someone will probably come from the pack and shoot themselves right back into it today. There's less breeze today, and what breeze there is from a different direction. So although the cut perhaps yesterday looked as though it might be 6 or 7 over, there's every chance that could drift in a bit unless the weather changes here as the tides come and go. Of particular interest to the Golf Monthly team, a young amateur called Jimmy Mullen, who plays out of Royal North Devon, where editor Mike Harris is a member. We followed the last part of his round yesterday, shot an excellent 71. He's out with the late watch today at about 10 to 4, so can he keep it going, make the cut and contend for the silver medal? That's one we'll certainly be watching right to the very death here tonight.